Hi everyone, I'm Cutsy and welcome to my channel. If you could please hit the like and subscribe button on your way in, I would greatly appreciate it. Help get me out in that algorithm and help me build. So anyway, today we are going over our recap of trial day 6 in the Michigan versus Linda Stermer trial, And I don't know, I still don't know what to think. I'm also going to be doing some really cute nails based on this really pretty glitter that I found. It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Wait till you see it. I really like how they turned out. But yeah, so we're going to be going over all this, and today was really rough for her in court. It started out with her 2 biological sons testifying, and the first one to testify was the youngest. And that didn't escape me because I just thought, you got the baby coming up. So that had to be a little bit extra hard, I don't know. But first, let me introduce these nails that I'm going to do today. I am using a really pretty purple color for the base from Red Carpet, which I get at Ulta. It's called PR Darling. It's just a really pretty kind of violet color. I'm going to be, now I've already buffed and base coated all of these nails. And if you notice, I'm doing 7 because I am doing, some of these I am making into sets that I'm going to put up for sale eventually. But, yeah, so my sets usually contain 14. So you have a couple extra. I'm going to try and do requests. So if you need a larger nail, like a larger thumbnail or a larger pinky nail, you'll be able to message me and let me know, and I can send that off to you. These are for the non-custom sets, just the kind of, buy it and fit it as you are. I got some really gorgeous glitter that I'll be showing on camera in just a few before I use it. It's this really pretty kind of mermaidy purple, pink, blue opalescent glitter. And then I found some really pretty little pinky purple flowers. I'm going to be doing just some kind of little bit different designs. On a couple of the nails, I'm going to just paint parts of it with purple just to give the glitter a base for it, and then do it up with some really pretty and just nail art and some little purple jewels that I found too. So, like I said, I'm going to base coat these, and then we'll get to the nail art. While we do that, let's catch up on day 6 of the Michigan versus Stermer trial. So like I said, I think today was a little tough for Linda Stermer. Last Friday, testimony ended with her nephew / unofficially adopted son testifying. Corey was his name, against her. It was very obvious he was very angry and blamed his mother. Today it started off with her youngest, who was Trenton. And you could see her this morning. She looked very tired. She had bags under her eyes. And you could just tell she was not looking forward to today at all. And so today opened up with Trenton, who was 12 years old at the time of the fire, being asked questions by the prosecution. And today also marks the end of the prosecution's case. They stepped down, and after lunch, defense, it's their time to shine. So first we have Trenton, who again, like I said, was 12 years old at the time of the fire. And I noticed this in the documentary that I watched and in the Crime Scene Confidential. He really seems to have an anger and almost a hatred towards his mother. I don't know. I still don't know whether I believe she did this on purpose, or again, we go back to the video that we did on the Idaho 4, the trauma. Sometimes trauma makes you remember things differently, makes you forget things, makes you remember things later on. I mean, she was having an affair. She was dishonest with her husband. She was cheating on him, dishonest about some money things. But that doesn't make her a red rummer. So, two things can be right at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. She could be a really bad spouse. He could have been physically abusive. He could have been a really bad spouse, but it does not mean that either of them caused this fire. So anyway, one of the first questions that, it was established that the boys were down in the basement. They were sleeping. Trenton's bedroom was next to Corey's downstairs. And he was asked if Linda came downstairs to watch TV or snuggle on the couch with any of them, with any of the boys, the night before the fire. That would have been January 6th. He said no. He testified that the parents had talked of divorce, and that Todd had asked Trenton where he wanted to live. He said that the morning of the fire, he woke up and was told by Corey that they were going to the mall and the movies. Linda said they were working out the details of the divorce, that she would be staying with her sister-in-law after today. When he went upstairs to leave, he said he saw Todd in a recliner chair, possibly sleeping. So he didn't get to say goodbye, that Linda had stopped him by pulling him back to the front door. He also stated, again, same as Corey, that they always said goodbye with a hug and a kiss before they left. That was the rule. And she had given absolutely no reason why he couldn't say goodbye. He also stated when asked that Linda did not tell them to wait so that she could take something out of the blazer, like a purse. See, these are all the little things we're going to need to remember, I think, at the end of this, because, just like the snuggling downstairs, not being asked to wait a minute to get a purse out of the car, things like that. Stated the same as Corey, that a friend called while they were in the movie to tell them about the fire. He claims that they had a dog at the time, but no cats. Corey said the same thing. We didn't have any cats. Now if you remember at the beginning, if you've watched the testimony, Linda stated allegedly to first responders that the only thing left in the house might have been a couple of cats. And when asked, he said that no one had ever asked him to put pictures in the shed. Said the same about the gas cans as Corey did, stored in the shed or in the lean-to barn, and that it wasn't common for them to be in the front yard, that they didn't have a snowblower, and that their large tractor was in the side field. And he said that the only time that they would have taken the cars into the backyard was to drive to the back fields. The only time they would do it was when it was dry, like in the summer, fall time, not when it was muddy and yucky. He also stated that he recalled smoke detectors being in the house and throughout it, and he said he was under the impression that they worked because he heard them beep when the batteries were low, and then the beep tests when they were changed. He said they were wired in, but they also had like battery backup on them or something like that. He said that part of the reason why he was angry with his mother and didn't trust her, believed that she did this because her story changed. So here we go, story changes again. That she went upstairs, saw fire, and couldn't see anything. Next was that she couldn't make it upstairs at all because of the smoke, and went back downstairs and out the basement door. Next was that she couldn't see anything, so she left through the front door. Whenever he would ask her any questions about what happened that day, she would attack him or get hysterical and cry. One time she pulled over and started smacking him, he said, giving him a bloody nose. And according to him, told Trevor, which was the middle son, to beat him up if he ever asked what happened again. He also stated that after the fire and before the insurance interview and before the first trial, to just tell them that he doesn't remember the answer to questions like, was she having an affair? Was their marriage good? Things like that. That if he didn't answer that way to them, that they would not get their things back, and they wouldn't get their money to get their things back. He claims at one point before the fire, she came downstairs, sat in his bed, and asked him, wouldn't it be better if he was dead? Instant objection from defense, of course, and a break for the jury. Defense said that's the first time that he's ever claimed that. And prosecution's rebuttal was that the boys had never had a chance to say these things before, and that Linda had confided in him, the youngest, a lot. But his demeanor bothers me, especially after he said this. It was, I don't know, it was almost just like it was a punishment, like he was angry and he wanted her to know that he hated her. I mean, it was really odd to me. So then it got a little heated. The testimony ended up being that part of the testimony ended up being stricken from the record, and defense pops up. This defense lawyer, both of them drive me crazy, but this one really, he requested a mistrial. So the judge went through everything and said that basically, no, that the jury's smart enough to just disregard it. And defense stated, which just does make sense, is that once that bell's rung, you can't unring it. And it's true, but I think they're smart enough just to disregard that and know that it's just like an emotional statement and go with just the facts. So when they came back, he did state, too, that during the investigation and the trial that he was still monetarily and, just day-to-day life dependent on Linda. That was his mother, so she took care of him. So they're alluding to is that he told the story that she wanted him to tell because he needed her to take care of him. And when she would blow up, it was obvious that, that wasn't... It wasn't a definite that she was always going to be there for him unless he was doing what she said and what she wanted. Defense asked, wouldn't you say that your memory was better back then than it is now? And he was adamant that his memory was better now than it ever. His memory was better now than then, because he was so traumatized back then. He doesn't even remember the first trial, that he didn't remember anything that he had said or testified to, that at the time he was smoking a lot of pot and in shock, and so his memory wasn't good. Defense asked him about the furnace and if there were issues to it shutting off or having to be fixed, and he said no. He went over the living room and asked him to explain how unfinished was it. And he said it was not finished. The floors were plywood with throw rugs. Had just put the ceiling in Corey's room, which was downstairs. Stated that the smoke detectors were hardwired but had batteries in them also. And he said that Linda was acting anxious before they left. He previously testified she was fine and normal before they left, just normal mom. That's what defense found in the previous trial's testimony. And defense asked him, did you lie when you were under oath? And he agreed that yes, he might have lied under oath during the insurance interview and the trial. He stated that Linda never told them when it was okay to come home. So she didn't say, come back after 5 o'clock to make sure that she had time to do whatever they believed that she did. And he also impeached him on the testimony that in the earlier trial, he had stated that Todd had been out of it several times before the fire, that he had acted like he was kind of stoned. Now, I know that someone else, I think, had stated that before. One of the investigators. So he doesn't remember saying that. He doesn't remember saying any of that. The defense said, didn't you say that at one time your dad opened the fridge and just stood there staring? And that worried you? He said, no, I don't remember saying that. So basically, the reason why he testified the way that he did is he felt threatened by her and her threats during the first trial. And that he relied on her financially. The jury questioned, when did he start calling her Linda instead of Mom? Because that's something else that the boys do. They call her Linda. They don't call her Mom. He said, when I found out she murdered our dad. And that Corey was the one that told him that there were two phones. Defense tries tying him to calling her Linda with the beginning of him living with Grandma Stermer, which was Todd's mother. And that's kind of something I think that they're trying to point out or trying to allude to, is that possibly Grandma Stermer was a little bird in the boy's ear because she believed that Linda did this. And that she turned them against their mother, basically. Now, next up comes the middle son, Trevor Stermer. He was the one whose bedroom was supposed to be that loft up in the living room. And he'd only stayed there about 5 nights because Todd had just finished it. And it had a landing overlooking the great room or the living room. So he said that he had a separate door in his bedroom, but there was kind of a little landing, the railing that you could look down into the living room. So he knew his dad had installed fire detectors, that he was meticulous about things, and remembers fire alarms going off when cooking, etc. So he knew that they had worked. Said the night before there was a big fight, and he was told to go to sleep downstairs that night because the fight was so bad. So he slept in, I believe it was Trenton's room. He said that the fight began with finances and how all of her horses were draining their family, and also about Linda cheating. So it lasted until about 10:30 p.m. He said Linda may have come down and said goodnight, but didn't stay down or sleep on the couch or snuggle with them watching TV. Now that's the third time this has been mentioned, so we need to remember that. Said he never saw any physical violence between his parents. Now, Corey and Trenton both stated that same thing also. They'd never seen any physical fights between them. Told him, I guess, he stated that Todd told him during a Bible study he was doing with the boys that he was only staying because of the kids, and that he really wanted out of his marriage. His account of that morning was that he woke up at 8 a.m. that morning and tried to go upstairs to get something to eat, and that Linda stopped him and said she would bring him something. Said she ended up bringing him something like a Pop-Tart or a granola bar. So again, this breakfast that she made, who ate it? Because the boys obviously didn't eat it. Said he sat down to watch TV about 9 a.m. This was downstairs. He sat down to watch TV. About 9 a.m. another fight broke out. He tried to go upstairs and she stopped him again. Told the boys they would be going to Portage that day. Said he didn't want to go because he'd already seen the movie they were supposed to see. Said she didn't want them to hear the arguing. Gave Corey $20. And when they started to leave, she told them to stay quiet and not wake Todd up. He also tried to get into the living room, and she stopped him. He said he saw Todd on the couch asleep or incapacitated. Tried to say goodbye again, and Linda told him no, to go, and again stated they always hugged and kissed and said goodbye, that was the rule. And he said that it was not normal for her to leave her purse in the vehicles, and that she did not come out to retrieve her purse from the Blazer that morning before they left. He also stated that he did have knowledge of the second phone because it was a business phone that she was supposed to deactivate months earlier, and she never did. And the night before, they fought about Todd finding a cell phone bill from this phone, proving that she did not deactivate it when she told him that she did. When asked if the Blazer had a full tank of gas, he said it was highly unlikely that there was a full tank of gas, that they never had full gas tanks. I think alluding to having money problems again. It was his phone the person called to tell them the house was on fire. And he remembers looking up to see his bedroom completely gone when they pulled up. They waited at the neighbors, and they all ended up staying at Grandma Sandy's that night, which again is Todd's mom. He said he remembers having 2 dogs at the time of the fire, but again, he does not. He said we didn't have any cats. He also stated that the gas cans were only stored in the barn, or the lean-to. They had 2 5-gallon cans in the barn for the tractor, and that it was very odd that a 1-gallon gas tank was in the front yard. And he again reiterated that they did not have any snowblower. He also stated that he, too, was never asked to move any framed pictures or anything to the shed. He said pics that were stored would have been put in a storage area under the stairs inside of the house. He remembers he does remember that a month before the fire, Todd worked on the furnace, but not in the weeks, days leading up to the fire, and not the evening before the fire. And I'm going to skip ahead because, again, his testimony really just mirrors his other 2 brothers' testimonies. They're all saying the same thing, the same story. So we'll bounce ahead to when defense comes in and wants to ask him about, he's going to impeach his testimony again and ask him about his police interviews. And he said he doesn't remember the contents of the police interviews. And so defense asked him, is your memory better back then? And he said no, his memory is very clear now. When asked if he didn't like his mother, he said that would be a fair statement. He said dislike isn't a strong enough word, and he was horrified by his mother when finding out what she had done to his father. And that he was living in his own apartment during the arrest and trial. Stated that he told police the truth. So defense goes over the insurance interview and asked him about the furnace again. He stated, our furnace every now and then, if we turned it too low, would shut off, and our dad would have to reprime it. Said he held the bottle while his dad drained it. He stated today, though, that they had no running lawnmowers on the prosecution's rebuttal. No running lawnmowers, only a large tractor, and that they used the tractor to move around large bales of hay. And it wouldn't be odd to leave gas cans out front to be filled. He also stated that the bedroom ceilings were just rafters and that the living room was OSB board and area rugs and just a hearth in front of the fireplace. Now here we go again. His testimony is going to be impeached by defense. Remember, he said he woke up at 8 a.m. But according to the police report, it says that he woke up between 10 and 11, is what he told police. He did stand by his story, saying that he did not want to go that day. But his previous testimony is that it was not super secretive. They were just going out that day. Now, this morning, during today's testimony, he said that it was not normal for a purse to be left in the van. The police report from back in 2007 states that he said that it was not uncommon for them to leave purses and wallets in the vehicles. It was out in the country. They were safe. And today he said that it was unusual for Todd to take a nap on the couch. In 2007, he said it was very normal for his dad to take a nap on the couch. He previously stated that he was equally close with both of his parents. Today he states that he was closer with his dad. Today he states that this was the worst argument they had ever had. Previously he stated that the argument was medium. It wasn't any worse or any lighter than, it was a normal argument. Today he testified that he frequently asked details of that day. Previously he said no, he didn't ask anyone that he remembers. Went back to the house about a month and a half after the fire, but can't remember anything that was in the shed or being told to bring pictures out to the shed. States Linda gave him baseball cards that she found in the rubble that were his, that he had collected. Now prosecution comes back for redirect and asked him about the horses, and he said that she had actually hid horses on other properties, that she was obsessed with it, and it was financially draining them. And he also said that Linda never told him just to tell the truth. Then they go to lunch and prosecution rests. Okay, now here we go. Sneaky defense move number 1 after we come back from lunch. They file a motion for a direct verdict and request for an acquittal. They come before the judge and they define arson, and they state that there is no evidence that has been provided that Linda set the house on fire, only speculation and hearsay, that no testimony to show Linda was the cause, no forensics to prove what caused the fire, that without the proof of who or what the prosecution has nothing, asking that because none of their evidence proves Linda did this, they are requesting an acquittal. So prosecution goes over all the fire investigation testimony that basically rebuts everything that he just said. And not only shows arson, but premeditation, and that when the fire obviously didn't take him out, she hurriedly drove the van to the back and ran him over. And on top of it all, after that, she threw herself on top of him twice, having to be pulled off of him by first responders. And the very first witness, the sheriff that was first on scene, said that he had to really yell and try to get her off of him. And the judge ends up reading previous testimony that supports the decision that yes, there is enough evidence to put a lot of speculation on did she do this or not. And so the judge's decision ended up being there was sufficient support that prosecution's case survived the motion and trial will continue. So the next witness is Len McHugh. He is the insurance adjuster that came out, and he interviewed Linda. And he said that when they were talking that she was actually unaware that they had property insurance. And he came out on January 10th and the 15th to take pictures. He didn't enter the house because it was not safe, so any interior pictures he had were from him leaning inside doors, etc., stuff like that. He took pictures of the debris on the outside of the house. His pictures also depicted that the roof and all the floors had fallen through into the basement. He found a large pile of baseball cards, took a picture of those. And said that he knew the police investigators and spoke with them also. That he recorded a statement to Linda and made sure that the first things he talked about were just the basics of the house and how it was furnished, how it was finished, blah, blah, blah. Mostly talked about how each room was and the contents of that room. Took a picture of a frying pan in the utility room next to the laundry room. Couldn't go on the first floor because it was collapsed into the basement. Said that Linda admitting having admitted having 2 life insurance policies. He stated that her demeanor was very calm, that the only time she showed any emotion was when he asked her if she ran her husband over with the van, and she started to cry and said yes. And she stated that that Todd had bled the fuel line a few days ago and may have gotten fuel oil on his clothes, and there may be fuel oil in the washing machine because she washed his clothes. Now, just another thing that he noted was that the foyer and the office were the rooms above the laundry room and the utility room, and that the kitchen was not above either of these rooms. Now, mind you, there's a frying pan in the utility room, and somebody has gotten hit in the head. And this is the last objection of the day. There's 3 videos that the last witness is going to use tomorrow, I believe, for demonstrative purposes to show how fire burns, etc. He is an investigator and an inspector, and he is actually in the Crime Scene Confidential episode because he is the expert that she believes is going to fly in and save her from all of this. So they go through all of that, and then after all that, they bring in, the judge wants to watch them outside of the presence of the jury first and decide if they are relevant or not. Next, they bring in, this is second to the last witness of the day, Cassandra Grigg. She was friends with Sterms, with Linda. She moved in with them when she was 15 and then babysat for them. And then when she grew up and had children, Linda babysat her kids. She would work on the weekends, Friday through Monday. And so she said it was just easier. She would drop the kids off on Friday afternoon and pick them back up on on Monday evening. And she described that the basement was where her kids spent most of the time when they were there. She stated that pretty much nothing was finished upstairs. All the floors were OSB. The fireplace only had OSB around it. And the ceiling was completed in the great room with like the wooden beams. But she said there was no drywall around the basement fireplace either, and it was used often. When they asked her about driveway conditions, and she said it was clay with stone, and any wetness would make it slick, but that you could rock your car back and forth and get out of it. You didn't need a tow truck to come get you. Said that she'd gotten stuck several times, and she would end up parking downstairs by the basement door and picking up her kids, and then turning around and driving back up the hill to leave. She stated that she did see violence between them when she lived with them in Portage, and again at the home in Lawrence. That she had been out at the house 4 weeks earlier and never saw any actual smoke detectors, only holes in the ceilings for them with wires hanging. Said she had a very close friendship at the time of the fire, and that she was closer with the girls, the daughters, than the boys. She knew Todd and Linda were having marital problems at the time of the fire. But in 2010, during the trial, she never testified about no smoke detectors being installed. And Linda never told her about Chris Williams. She stated that she used the basement entrance to drop off the kids all the time. She would drive down and then pick up her kids and then drive back up the hill. So she's still close with Linda, but would not lie to keep her out of trouble. And that was really it with her. Just that she wouldn't lie to keep her out of trouble. So I really didn't really see, other than the smoke detectors and the driveway thing, her being of much help. The last witness of the day was this investigator Trinkle. He's the firefighter, fire inspector, and fire investigator that was tasked with making sure, with going over the evidence and double checking all of the expert witnesses that prosecution brought in. Today was pretty much just him giving his credentials, and he was very long-winded in that. So, yeah, that was basically it. So, everything's on hold until tomorrow morning. Court starts at 9 a.m., and I will have another recap of that for you. Let me know what you think so far in the comments. I don't really know. There's so much that is changed of people's accounts then than they have now. And is their memory clearer now because they're not as traumatized, they're not as in the middle of all the stress? Or were things planted in these kids' heads? It's sad. The daughters don't believe that she did it. The 3 boys do. It's just sad no matter which way you look at it. But on that note, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cutsy out.